7.2? All right. 7.2, consideration of use of staff time in excess of 8 hours to research the feasibility of a dedicated special tax for county roads. Supervisor Owen, I know that you're sponsoring this item, and I know that Director March is going to come up and discuss some of this as well. Right.
Okay. Actually, I'm bringing this forward. As we know, probably my biggest complaint as a supervisor is our county roads. So it's not so much in the incorporated areas, but the non-incorporated areas of the county. And as I understand, we're really low on funds. Some of it has to do with the tribal gas stations and them not paying into the 75 cents per gallon tax. And so anyway, funding seems to be an issue to take care of our roads, to be able to keep them usable. And there's roads in every district that need attention. So what I am looking at is looking at the feasibility and whether it was, if it would be possible to do a tax. And somebody had asked me last night about maybe a TOT tax. I spoke just briefly with Mr. March on a break and asked him about that. But one of the reasons we're looking at a sales tax is because it opens us up to additional funding and grants. And so we just want to see if the public would be interested in it and if we can do something to make our roads safe. Do you want to kind of go into the statistics on it?
Just real quickly. We know that the city of Lakeport has a 1% sales tax for roads, as well as the city of Clear Lake. So there are the cities in the county which have passed those sales tax measures. The Clear Lake is using their sales tax money to fund bonds to improve the roads. And that is an option. The benefit of a sales tax, it allows us to collect LPP funds, local partnership program, which is another revenue, another gas tax source. The good thing about the benefit of that is the state sets aside $72 million annually for competitive grants for projects. For cities and counties that have a dedicated road tax or fee. So that is probably the largest benefit of adopting a sales tax. And we can also use sales tax money to pay for local matches of grants. So we want to, the intent would be to use that money to leverage it for to get more money. So,
And I wanted to make this tax specific to our roads, so it couldn't get hijacked basically for other funding, but just to take care of our county unincorporated roads. And like I said, did you state to me, as I understood it, that the TOT tax, we wouldn't be able to go after these free monies, these other grants? Is that correct?
We would not be eligible for the LPP funds.
Okay.
So,
yeah. So we're just looking at using the hours to be able to investigate and see if this is something we can bring forward for the 2026 ballot to be voted on.
I don't know who was first, Supervisor Spatier or Vice Chair?
Regarding so at this point, sorry. So you're looking at this for the 2026 ballot, either the primary or the general election? Or I'm assuming we would look at both of those possibilities if we were to bring it back. Or we just want to clarify, are we also going to be looking at whether or not any sales tax should be a quarter cent, a half cent, a full cent? Is that going to be part of the research?
Yes, it would be.
Okay. I'm okay with, moving forward on exploring this. I just want to be clear for the public that this by no means means that we're going to actually bring back a measure, because it's still it would be in the investigation process to determine if we should go forward. So I just want to make sure the public's aware of that at this point, that it strictly would be research to see if it's feasible, and if so, how much would we be asking for?
Supervisor Spatier?
Vice Chair Rasmussen kind of said some of the comments I wanted to make. I don't know specifically what is being asked in this, and I know I've spoken with Supervisor Owen, so I don't think this will be offensive. I don't think we need to approve an excess of 8 hours. I think we need to direct our director. We're interested in a road tax, do the research, come back with the information. What does the timeline look like? Does he want to do a survey? Because all those things are going to cost some sort of money. It needs to come back to us. But I don't think it should be one specific board of supervisor that works on this, since it's a county-wide effort, county-wide issue. And I think our director can come back to us and see what the timelines and costs and potential revenues would be, so that we can make the right decisions for the right reasons. And it's going to depend on the economy. It's going to depend on if we do a survey, what's is it palatable for the public to look into something like this? But that would be my direction today, is general direction to our director with interest to make future actions on this.
Supervisor Pyska?
Director March, are you coming back to us with an updated road plan soon?
I will with the SB1
Okay.
request.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to, it's been quite a while since we've had an update of the road plan, and considering the projects that we have planned for this summer, to have a better view of what we're looking at. I'm okay with doing a little bit of exploratory work, especially with the tax collector, to figure out the best way to finance this. I am very, very concerned about the economy right now, and if muni bonds are going to be taxed, there's a lot to look at on the financial side. I don't think it's quite time to survey the public yet. I think there's just too much uncertainty. But that could be a next step that could come back to the board after we do the financial analysis. So I'm okay, again, with just this being an internal conversation with staff and our auditor and our tax collector for some initial review, but no surveying the public quite yet until we understand. This is a situation where we've been planning this for a while, making sure that we've got our plans in place, that we've been able to do some of the projects that we've set out to do to build credibility with our department. We have had those discussions years ago, and because we've never had a tax measure be successful in this county, we have to be very careful about how we move forward. So that's my direction.
Vice Chair?
Yeah, I was just going to comment that I'm okay with, obviously, I suspect Supervisor Owen was presenting it in this manner because obviously this is going to take a lot of work. It's clearly going to be more than 8 hours, but I do think it makes sense what Supervisor Sabatier mentioned, that we can also just as a board direct staff to explore these options and bring things back to us as we need to make decisions moving forward with it. So I'm good with it as in that manner too. I'm not sure how that direction works, but
Anything else?
Nope, I would like to amend it to it be a county project as well, since it does pertain to the entire county.
With saying that, I'd just like to emphasize that we've had road problems for way before tribal gas stations, so I just don't think it's very responsible to say that because tribes don't get taxed for SB1 funds, that's the problem.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that, I
Okay,
swear.
okay,
I meant
no
it
worries.
that the way it was explained to me was that we're not getting those taxes,
Oh, okay.
that we would be getting more money for if
If they
they were
were.
all contributing the 75 cents a gallon.
I know they go
So-
through weights and measures, but I don't think that's,
Well, the other piece of this are the EV vehicles too that are not paying for gas.
Yes,
So
and more
the whole
efficient
system
vehicles.
is changing.
Yeah, the more efficient gas mileage, there's a number of things that are contributing to us not having enough money to maintain our roads. So I apologize if that
no,
was.
and I think one of the things, the reason I had to mention it is because we have people watching who will take that, and I've seen it everywhere, no matter what it is, the tribes don't pay taxes and this and that. When tribal people pay taxes, sales tax, they pay federal tax dollars, they pay state taxes. So I'm not blaming you for saying that per se. I just know how people take it.
Yeah,
while
and I
watching.
apologize for
Yeah,
that.
so-
That was, there's a number of issues, like I said, like Supervisor Pyska mentioned, the
charging.
electric vehicles aren't, contributing. There's just a number of things. The more efficient vehicles, instead of getting 6 to 8 miles a gallon, we're getting 30 miles a gallon. So there's a number of things, but the monies are not there to maintain our roads.
Right.
And so just trying to come up with a way to improve our road status. What is it right now? Our roads are down in the what category? Mid-30s, and so it's just really unacceptable.
Anything else from the Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I know Supervisor Pyska mentioned the municipal bond tax potential. That is absolutely horrible if that is the case. Hopefully it will not be retroactive, because that would be even worse. I don't think we should jump into anything without understanding, and there's the possibility that maybe we move forward in 2026, but if we miss it, we have to wait till 2028. That typically is the best cycles to be able to go through, so we don't do special elections where, again, it costs more money to take that risk. We are 4 out of 58 counties that are still at 7.25 tax base. Now, I'm not saying that means we should increase our tax, but we will never resolve our road issues without doing something different than what we've been doing this entire time. So I think if we end up wanting to do a survey, I think you're going to have to come back to us anyways to say yes or no to that. So I think at that point we can make that decision whether we feel the public is ready or if we're ready. But I'm definitely ready to move forward and see what our timeline might be, what the cost might be, and what are our choices here. Because our choices at this moment in time thus far has not delivered what we should be delivering to the people we serve.
No, and the roads are they're deteriorating more. I mean, so we need to do something. And what's the definition of insanity?
Same thing over and over. Vice Chair?
Yeah, just lastly, real quick, I think it's important to mention that there's also legislation proposed in the state that would add additional potential per mile taxes on drivers in California. So I think as we move forward, it's going to be important to stay on top of what's going on at the state level too, because all of that can, have an effect. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, and the bond market, regardless of what happens with the taxes on the muni bonds. Like, we have to know what kind of market we're going to be looking at borrowing in.
One other thing to add is that I was looking, well, it'd probably come up later, but also a sunset on it. So whether it be a 10 or a 20-year. I know that Clear Lake did a 20-year tax, 1-cent tax, to get their roads done, and they've done an amazing job. It's pretty impressive. So I've kind of tried to take a page from the Clear Lake plan book, and they've been able to get some extra monies in that, so it'll make our money go further.
All right. Open it up to the public for any comments.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair Rasmussen, Chair Crandall, members of the board. I'm really glad this is brought up. I kind of geek out on this type of public policy thing. It's really important that we take a look at this because the proxy gas tax used to be a proxy for miles driven, which was a proxy for wear and tear on roads. And for decades, ever since I was a kid and probably before that, that was the model. And that's no longer a reliable proxy anymore because, as you all mentioned, you have electric vehicles and they're driving just as much as a regular vehicle. And they put wear and tear on the roads, but they don't stop at the gas station. The CAFE standards that are required by the state of California and the federal government have increased the efficiencies of our miles driven tremendously, and that results in less people paying for gas. Nationally, it has very little to do with, tribal or anything like that. The overriding thing is as we get more efficient, that proxy model is failing us. So we have to find a way to fund our roads. So I do support looking at the an alternative. Sales tax seems to be one of them. I do know that this state and other states are looking at the state level for miles driven by somehow attaching something to your drive computer or your car's computer to see how many miles you drove. So you do pay for the miles per product, that type of thing. So we do have to look at it a different way because the gas tax model will not fund our roads either in this county or this state. So, thank you.
All right.
Good afternoon, Margot Kambara. Just to piggyback on the previous comments, looking for more revenue for road improvement would be a great idea. It would be even better to associate, however, the source of funds closer to road use. Sales tax tends to be regressive, and not everybody who will be paying that sales tax is a driver, or it may be somebody who's using public transit. As a previous commenter mentioned, some people are looking at the state level, such as vehicle registration, perhaps associating a fee with that, putting that in a pool and drawing on that for road repair. So as the study group looks at alternatives for funding, I would suggest that looking at some way to get the funding that's closer to road use and rather than a general sales tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Margot. Any other comments? No hands in Zoom. I'll bring it back to the board. Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, I just want to say that roads are for the community. Whether you're taking the bus to the grocery store or bus to work, you're still using the roads, and that eventually we have to figure out a way to all pitch in to making those roads drivable, safe for all that uses, bicyclists, pedestrians, and whatnot. We've been talking at the state level for 20 years on GPS format type of things, and the privacy issues of the Fifth Amendment are huge and most likely never going to be overcome, where now you can track my every move that you're doing. And so I don't know that we're going to have a solution anytime soon. And there was a comment about regressive tax. Rent doesn't have tax. Food doesn't have tax. Utilities don't have tax. The basic foundation of what everybody has to pay for in order to live will not have that supplemental tax. If you have a lot of money and you're spending a lot of money, then on other goods that are taxable, I just don't see that as being regressive to hurt the most vulnerable in our communities. And there's a benefit that comes back to the community where they will increase property values. It will allow businesses to save money on fixing their vehicles and putting it into their businesses to grow. I just see nothing but potential positives. So I'm looking forward to what you bring back to us.
No. I lost my train of thought, sorry. Go ahead.
All right. I think this looks for direction, right? Or is it action?
Well, your board has two options. So your board can provide direction to staff. Typically, direction to staff can be provided via consensus, and typically those directions may involve or may include presentation of staff coming back to your board with some kind of report or presentation. So that is one option. The other option is what's being recommended in the memo wherein your board moves to approve staff time of, that exceeds 8 hours to research the feasibility. For that particular option, that is more individualized to the board member requesting, making the request. In this case, it would be Supervisor Owens, so that it would not necessarily, under that option, involve coming back to the board. So whichever your board would decide, it generally would have the same effect. It's just procedurally, it's a little different between the two.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask if Mr. March, Director March, has a potential timeline of when this may come back.
If I'll be working with other departments, it's going to depend on their schedule as well. So I'm uncertain,
So come back 3 to 6 months?
definitely within 3 to 6 months timeframe.
Because the reason I ask is just to see if we can put some sort of a timeline of when to get it back rather than just putting it out there and
All right.
I
with
can't
nothing.
even find it now.
There's not anything else. I think
What's the number of it?
Supervisor Owen, did you want to go with the recommendation from the full board to
Yes.
staff?
Yes, please.
Okay, and I think, it looks like we have a consensus on that, so,
Yeah.
so within 3 to 6 months, and I think that's, is there anything else I missed? All right. All right, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for bringing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.